on, guys? Welcome back to Mike Warriors. My name is User Unknown. I am joined by Hydrate as always. Hydrate, if you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Hello everybody, my name is Hydrate, as you all already know, and as he just said, that is User Unknown, my co-host. He has been a wonderful co-host thus far, I hope you all agree. And you know what else would be wonderful? Getting into this card, because it's a card full of sleeper fights in my opinion, fights that might not be the most exciting on paper, because they're not too many like super huge names, but fights that are guaranteed to deliver some fun. Such as our first fight of the night, it will be the veteran Elliott Southey, the number 7 ranked heavyweight, versus the number 16th ranked rookie Adam Thomas. Elliott Southey, he's a tough guy, he's a veteran, he's a little unpredictable. He can knock you out with punches, he can knock you out with kicks, he can also get knocked out in like 2 seconds, depending on what version of Southey we get in the day. Adam Thomas, he's still kind of figuring things out. He's determined to get out of this little slump before the slope becomes even more slippery. And I don't think we've seen the best of Adam Thomas yet. I think he's still got a lot to prove and a lot to show us. And you know what they say, it's a common saying for a reason, third time is the charm. I fully and wholeheartedly believe in that saying. So I'm going to go with an Adam Thomas victory, a much needed one to get him started on the right track here in SMFC. I love Elliott Southey, but I think Adam Thomas is going to take this one. What about you?
So, I've seen Adam Thomas for years in UCW. I've seen the scouting. I've seen his wrestling report. Him coming into boxing sounded like a great idea to me at the time. Same thing as CM Punk, though. Yeah, you can kind of catch my drift. Like, I was like, yeah, he's going to do great. And then he lost 2 fights. And I'm just like, does he belong here? Do we have him in the right sport? Last time we talked about Adam Thomas, I said, maybe you need to go back to camp and just take a break. I've said that to a couple of people since I started doing Mike Warriors. Because, the optic test is the best test to do. If it looks like you don't know what you're doing, you probably don't know what you're doing. In the fight with John Styles, he was slow. Even the commentator Dustin Hunter said, bro, I'm just gonna be honest with you. You can telegraph everything that you're doing from a mile away. I don't know how John Styles didn't knock you out sooner. I completely agree with that point. And this is by far the most experienced fighter that he's gone up against. His second fight was Jay Prince. Jay Prince made it look easy against him. Took him out with like a 1-2 punch or 1-2 combo, I think it was. So with Southey having more experience than anybody he's ever fought, my hopes aren't the highest for Adam Thomas. He's taken 2 weeks off. He's been in the gym. We've all seen the tape. Even Morgan Hunter has kind of linked her drive with the women's division, which we'll talk about later. Don't you worry. With his own step up moment where he might get this first W. I just don't see it as likely. In all honesty, call me a hater, call me what you will, but I think Saudi gets the dub.
That's a very respectable choice and very respectable opinion. You would know Adam Thomas more from a fan standpoint than I, because you've been watching him across the different sports and different promotions for a longer time than I have. And I've known Elliott Southey longer than you have, to contrast that. So I can respect the opinion and see where it's coming from, but I'm going to stick with my pick that Adam Thomas wins this one.
Oh no, 100%. I think they both got the skill set to win, and that's the thing about SMFC is where it comes down to like, well, I think this guy's gonna win. I think this other guy's gonna win. Is you're sitting down, just like, well, they both made it here. They have the skill set to win, but I think that if Adam does what Adam is known for in slowing down in the middle of the first round and giving his opponent that second to breathe, I think with a veteran like Southey, that's the exact opposite thing of what you want to do.
That's a fair point. Nobody in the next fight's going to have that issue because it's 2 rookies facing off against each other.
We got John Styles and Randall Radcore. Now, Randall Radcore has shown that he is one of the most powerful men that we have seen out of the rookies come into SMFC. John Styles can contrast that by being probably one of the most athletic that we have seen come out of this new rookie class. This is going to be exciting for multiple reasons because Radcore has an iron guard and John Styles is known for working around people's arms. We haven't seen either of these men go to the ground, and that might be a point that we see from both of them because they're both very hard hitters. I just think that if Radcore hits one clean punch down the middle on John Styles, we might see what John Styles is really made of.
You make some good points, and I want to bring up my own here. This fight is a textbook example of style against substance. John Styles, pun intended because that's part of his name, has been nothing but flashy here in his short tenure so far, like the jumping switch kick in his debut, for example. Whereas Randall Radcourt, he's not generating headlines because of his simple knockouts like the jab in his debut, but he is getting it done with efficiency. What really will matter here, because we've seen both style and substance succeed here, what really is going to be the deciding factor and what's going to matter is who can pack more oomph into their shots. Like you said, both of them are stand-up guys. I don't think this fight's going to go to the ground unless one of them's not getting back up. But what really matters here is they both got the oomph because they've got one victory. They both also have lost once. What really is going to decide who wins or loses this one is whose chin holds out longer.
And we talked about Adam Thomas for the last fight, and in John Styles and Adam Thomas's debut, obviously they went against each other. Styles' biggest and only highlight thus far is that switch kick on Adam Thomas. But in that fight with somebody who I've said multiple times seems slow, seems unprepared, seems easy to telegraph, we saw John Styles stumble quite a few times. Radcourt has proven he is much better on his feet than Adam Thomas was in that first fight. So if John Styles is going into this fight with that same mindset that he went into his first fight and the only fight that he has won, I think Radcourt easily walks out with the win.
That's fair. Radcourt is a lot more of a boulder, not to be offensive in any sort of way. But
he's a big old boy. It's a lot harder to knock that one down than it is to knock down a guy who, in all honesty, hasn't made it out of the first round.
Yeah, someone's going to sleep pretty quickly in this one. Meanwhile, our next fight, to kind of transition on that one, this one could go the distance. We could see a judge decision. It's two veterans here and people who have fought each other before. Tony Tornado, the former champion, the former light heavyweight champion, versus Colt Steele, a former title contender. Tony's the number 3, Colt's the number 9. It's going to be a brutal fight. Colt can go to the ground, but Tony is not afraid of the ground either. He prefers standing up and prefers the kicks. But both these guys can go to the ground when necessary. I don't really think this one's going to last all that long because I think both people have something to prove here. Colt has to prove that he can still hang because he's slipping. He's number 9. Tony,
he's coming back from a hiatus.
He's also coming back from the hiatus still. Whereas Tony, he's got something to prove in the other way, the other end of the spectrum. Don't know why my tongue's tying. He's got something to prove on the other end of things, where he's the number 3, and if he wins, he could potentially put himself in position for a title shot in the very, very near future. I don't know who's going to win this one, to be honest. I agree with Morgan Hunter. This one's going to be very brutal, and I don't see it lasting long either. If I had to pick, which I think we do, I think it's in our contract, so we absolutely have to pick someone. I think Tony Tornado's going to get the win here.
Gotta get those bet picks out there.
Yeah, gotta get the bet picks out there so people can lose thousands of dollars. I think Tony's got it.
It's not our fault. It's not my fault. You shouldn't have listened to me.
Yeah, it's their fault for making their gambling choices based off of what we say. Who do you think's going to win this?
I get paid to talk about this shit. Why the fuck would you think that I'm telling the truth? I don't know who wins. I think it's... Man, so like you said, this one it's either going to go the distance or it doesn't last long at all. And you've got Tony, who's proven to be a knockout artist. He shows up, knocks people out, goes home. I've said that twice about him. Colt Steele's coming off of a hiatus. Colt Steele, he's lost a couple in the last couple fights. He's not looking as good as he once did. I mean, I think it's easy to say Tony's going to win, but I mean, who doesn't love an upset where Colt Steele comes out? That's part of the problem that I have with almost every single fight on this card, and I think that's why it's actually such a good card, is because it's a bunch of guys where you look at it, you're like, well, that doesn't sound too interesting, and then you actually look into who they are and what they've been doing, and you're just like, well, this means a lot for this guy, but it also means a lot for this guy, and this guy's been on a losing streak, so if he wins this one, it's like a catapult into the position that we all think he should be in. So I mean, as much as I'd love to say Colt Steele walks out with it, I think the dominance of Tony Tornado comes through once again. I mean, the dude's got twice the amount of, or he's got twice the amount of KOs compared to Colt Steele's fights. Tony Tornado has 18 knockouts compared to Colt Steele's total. How many is that? 13 fights. So not double, but almost double the amount of knockouts compared to fights.
He's got more than triple Colt's
wins,
knockouts.
I was about to say, he's got more than triple Colt's knockouts when you break that down, because Tony's got 18, Colt has 5. You look at the amount of wins, Tony has 20, Colt has 8. And I'm not saying anything against record, because records have been broken all the time. People have come back from losing streaks and gone to win championships. I'm just saying, with the way that Tony has looked in the last couple of weeks, I don't think he's going to lay down for some guy who hasn't been here in a week and a half.
That's fair. You want to talk about that next fight? Because we have a very similar situation over in the middleweight division on the next fight.
We've got Dad Trainer versus Yagani Yatoni. And if I butchered his name, I did it on purpose.
No, you did it correctly.
So we've got a 12-12 fighter in Dad Trainer versus a 12-12 fighter in Yatoni. Dad Trainer, 11 knockouts. You've got Yatoni with 6. He's also got 1 sub, though. What my problem is, that means there's a lot of room for decision in one guy's fight. There's not a lot of room for decision in the other one. So Dad Trainer, obviously, with the mindset of walk in, get the finish, leave the judges out of it. And the other guy who's kind of just, if I win, I win. I don't really care how I get the W. I don't think rankings have a lot to do with this one. You've got the 5th and the 9th ranked fighter in the middleweight division. I think this is mostly just a reminder of legacy, and it's more of a pride thing for both guys compared to being, I'm going for the championship. The championship will come to both of these men. I'm guaranteeing that. I don't think they care about that with this one.
Yeah, I don't think either of them have the championship on their mind. I'm going to use the same kind of way to describe it as I did the previous fight. This is very important for both men for different reasons. Dad Trainer's on the one end of the spectrum to where if he wins, he gets back into potential title opportunity talks or title contender talks. Tony, if he wins, he gets away from the bottom section of the rankings, which is where you don't want to be if you can avoid it, because it just means you're not gonna probably ever sniff the title for a long time. And like you said, they both have 12-12 records. They have the same amount of fights. They're dead even. It really all depends on what version of Yatoni we're gonna see. Because as you said, he can do whatever. Like, he can knock him out. He can get the submission victory. He can also, judging by his 12-12, go the distance and get the judge score. So I think this fight solely depends, regardless of DT's skills, which are very impressive. I'll get that out there. He's a great fighter. Regardless of those skills, I think this fight and the result depends completely on the version of Yatoni that we see. Are we going to see the Yatoni that wants to go the distance and get the judge decision? Or are we going to see the Yatoni that wants to make a motherfucker tap out? Or are we going to see the Yatoni that wants to punch someone's jaw clear to the 3rd row? I think that's what decides the fight, and therefore, for that reason alone, I'm going to go with Yagani Yatoni gets the victory.
What worries me is kind of the exact same thing that you actually just said is what worries me about Yatoni's game, in complete honesty. And I can explain why. He's so wishy-washy on who we're going to see that if he shows up on Tuesday and wants to see if he can get into the decision, Dad Trainer is going to knock him the fuck out. If he wants to take Dad Trainer to the ground, see if he can get him to tap. While we've seen Dad Trainer on the ground, we haven't seen what else Dad Trainer knows on the ground. Maybe that's a trap. Maybe it's all been a trap the whole time. Yatoni's taking that risk. If he wants to knock him out, though, he could probably do that. We've seen him knock people out on a consistent basis. He's got 24 fights in his career. 6 times he's knocked somebody out. Or take out the 12 losses that he's got in his career. Half the time that he's been in a fight, he's knocked him out. I like those odds compared to going to decision, which has happened 5 times in his career. And I don't want to bank on a submission shot from him because, I'm convinced Dad Trainer's a cobra on the ground and we just haven't seen it yet, in all honesty.
Yeah, that could be Dad Trainer's
So I'm going DT.
I respect that opinion because, like I tried to say there, and sorry for interjecting, that could be Dad Trainer's ace in the hole. Maybe we just haven't seen any submission game from him because Maybe he's hiding it. Maybe he's waiting for the right moment to show that he can do that. Maybe
he was waiting for Malkova the whole time.
Yeah, maybe the kickboxing was all just a facade or a cover-up, but we can't really say for sure because his kickboxing has been very, very effective. I'm still going to maintain my stance that Yutoni wins. You said DT wins. One of us is going to be correct, the other is not, and the other will probably get it rubbed in their face post-show by Dustin Hunter when he once again denies that he's training. We'll get into that later on.
He's a liar. Anyway, don't cut my pay. I didn't say that. Our next match of the evening, moving on quickly. We've got Bryson Elite taking on Dakari Kane. Dakari Kane still very new to SMFC. He's on a 2-1-1 record. We saw a split decision, which does not happen very often in SMFC, so I mean, put that shit in the record book. Versus Bryson Elite, who is one match away from being even, just like Dad Trainer and Yutoni both are, just one fight less. Bryson is quiet but proven. He beat Andy Knight at Brawl 64. Dakari is a volatile newcomer, though. He's wild in a really good way. And, I mean, I said he was wild card Kane from here on out. I'm going to stand on that because he's been so unpredictable in a good way to where we haven't really been able to form a pattern like a Yutoni where it's just like, well, he, half his fights he knocks him out. He might make him submit, or he might lose. With Kane, we've got fairly evident that he's either going to be able to take it to the end, he's going to knock him out, or he's going to lose with way less of a fight pool, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I feel more comfortable putting my money on Kane than I do Yutoni in this situation. However, I'm not counting out Bryson Elite in any way, because if he decides that the Tuesday night's the night that he's going to show up and just beat him again, there's nothing anybody can really do about that.
That is true. And I want to point out an interesting statistic here. I'm going to bring up the name Andy Knight for a second here. And I'm bringing that name up because it has importance to both these fighters. Bryson Elite being the guy who has given Andy Knight his only loss thus far. But on that same side of the coin, in that same vein, Dakari Kane, that split decision was with Andy Knight. He took Andy Knight to the limit and got a tie, whereas Bryson has beaten him. I think that's a very interesting statistic to think about, considering Andy Knight is currently the top-ranked guy in the heavyweight division, minus the champion. But talking about the fighters themselves, you said it best. Dakari's incredibly wild, in a good way, obviously, as both you and Morgan have said, whereas Elite, he doesn't talk, he's just grinding, and it's worked for him because he's a former champion over in the light heavyweight division when it was active, and he was a very dominant competitor there, and he's starting to climb the ranks here in the heavyweight division, which is good to see from a fan perspective. You always like to see the veterans not give up and rise and compete with the newcomers. But I don't know. I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think Dakari Kane's going to take this because I just don't know if Bryson Elite's technical game is going to be enough to handle the unpredictable Dakari Kane, who have not been able to form a pattern on. No one's able to properly study him because we don't know what we're going to see from him. We're only 4 fights into his career. This will be his 5th. And he's been incredibly, almost wishy-washy in his record way, but he's powerful. We've seen that much. And he can go the distance. So he's got an iron chin. But, it all depends on, like I said, I think Dakari is going to take this as well. I think his wild card aspect of things, like you want to call him wild card Kane, I think that's just going to work in his favor tonight. I don't think Bryson's going to be able to figure Dakari Kane out, and if he tries to, I just think it's not going to end in his favor. Dakari Kane for the knockout victory.
You've got Bryson Elite, who is proven to be very composed, even in fights where he loses, he keeps his composure almost the whole time. My main question is, how composed can you stay in a hurricane?
Yeah.
Kane kind of fights with that random, sudden aggression, kind of like a hurricane hitting the shore for that first impact, that big push onto shore where the water's coming, the storm's moving in, nobody's prepared for it. That's been Kane so far. How composed is Elite going to be able to stay when he's in what is honestly kind of unproven territory at the moment? Not for him, but just against Kane in general.
That's very fair. And you mentioned aggression, hitting like a hurricane. We've got a pretty heavy hurricane hitter over in the next fight, moving over to the middleweight division. It's almost like a
Hannibal
mirror.
Lecter. I mean, Hansen.
Hannibal Lecter. We got this fight's almost like a mirror of the previous one. It literally is. You got the number 4 ranked versus the number 8 ranked, and it's a very similar situation. Kobu Pantheon is a much more composed competitor. He's a knockout artist for sure. He's gotten all of his 12 wins by knockout, but he's almost like Bryson Elite in a way where he's much more composed and he's able to keep that composure. But then you got Hannibal Hansen, who is very much so like Dakari Kane, except he's got the experience. He's fought for the title before, and he is famous for his explosivity out the gate. When he gets a hold of you early, it is almost impossible to weather the storm, because most guys, even if they have an iron chin, he fucking beats you down until you have brain damage. So this is a very similar fight to the Elite versus Kane, and I honestly don't know how Kobu's going to be able to handle it. We've seen he has a bit of an iron jaw himself, because he's been able to weather a lot of storms to rise back up in the rankings in what is possibly his swan song here in SMFC. And I know as a fan, from a fan perspective, I would like to see him win almost in the same vein as like a John Cena. You'll go out on top. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do it against someone as dangerous as Hannibal Hansen. Because let's not forget, Hannibal Hansen was handpicked by Dustin Hunter to be Hassan Malkova's return opponent back at Brawl 60. Let's not forget that fact. And I'm gonna go Kobu for this, but I'm very, very unsure about it.
So, like you said, Pantheon's coming off of a loss to Wilkins as well. He's a very creative striker. He's good at rebounding. He can come off getting hit and finish fights. As you said, it could be a swan song. Hannibal's a hard hitter though. And if you watch Pantheon's tape, that first round is not important to him. Where a lot of guys are trying to end the fight in the first round, he doesn't really care if it ends in the first round. He's fine with the second, he's fine with the third. He just wants to knock you out. How and when it happens, he really doesn't care about. He's not one of these guys who you see calling a shot. He's not one of these guys who you see being like, oh, well, I'm going to do this now. No, he just goes with it. You've got an aggressive grinder in Hansen versus a very creative striker with unpredictable movement. And, I mean, honestly, I like to call him a pressure brawler, because whenever he's getting hit is honestly when he performs the best. And we don't have a lot of guys in SMFC who just want to take the first round and get hit, then just be okay with getting punched. I don't know how Hansen might react to that, in all honesty, so I'm going Pantheon.
Oh, we're on the same side for once.
I'm all for raw aggression, I'm all for power, I'm all for the chaos, the shit talking. That's what I'm here for. But this swan song as you started calling it for Pantheon is catching my attention, and I don't know. I mean, I've gone back and watched tape, and I like I said, I don't know how Hannibal's going to react to a guy who's going to eat everything he's got in the first round and then come into the second round like it didn't happen.
Yeah,
that's where Pantheon scares me.
Hansen has the power, but we don't exactly know if he has the endurance to withstand what Pantheon's going to bring. He's going to, like you said, he's going to take everything Hansen throws at him, and unless Hansen can land that one lucky shot that knocks him out in the first round, Pantheon's going to come back and hit him with what he hit him with, but 10 times harder. He's going to really be able to... I think this fight is going to tell us what we've been wanting to see, and it is how long can Hannibal Hansen hold out in hopes for a victory.
Speaking of holding out and endurance and lucky shots, we've got Hassan Malkova and Michael Gomez going at it in the co-main event of the evening. It's a heavyweight bout. Malkova coming off of a loss to Andy Knight, which I don't think anybody expected, and I don't know if I've slept right since. And then we've got Gomez, who's a longtime veteran in SMFC. He's always dangerous, but when you're dangerous against a, walking literal bomb, I don't really know what that means for you. It's redemption versus resurgence in this one. A win keeps Malkova in the title picture. Losing again has everybody doubting him. Right now, we're looking at a goat with a missing horn. Whether or not he walks out of this fight, decides if he goes back to having 2 horns or goes into having none. I'm scared for the boy, in all honesty, because I mean Malkova has put this company through a lot of shit as far as carrying us through some things, and we've got a lot of guys who can pick up that torch. We've got a lot of guys who have come in and proved that Malkova's not just a fluke or a one-time thing, not a unicorn. But I don't think he's ready to go yet. So, for his legacy and what he's used to and what he's done, and I'm worried, because if he loses another one, he's never been in that position.
Yeah. This is a very, very interesting scenario for San Malkova, because ever since his return at Brawl 60, he's been the Malkova that everybody remembered and adored and feared. Minus, but in the last couple of brawls, in his last couple of fights, he's looked more human. He had the very long and surprisingly good fight against Pablo Rodriguez, sending Pablo off into retirement. And
we miss you. We love you.
We miss you. We miss you and your stories about being in jail for 5 minutes. Then he's coming off the loss to Andy Knight, which, like you said, no one expected. I don't think anybody's really slept since, because it shocked a lot of people. It was more scary than anything they do in October. It proved that Malkova is human, that he can lose. And this is very lightly treaded territory for Malkova. And like you said, if he loses again, he's in unknown territory. Michael Gomez, on the other hand, we know what we can expect from him. We expect bombs, we expect quick fights, we expect an explosive pace, and a surprising level of endurance. He's 14-11 for a reason. I don't know, I'm scared as well. I'm honestly scared for this fight, because this may not be a title fight, but it's going to have as many, if not more, implications than a title fight ever could have for the potential future of this division. With that said, I'm going to go with Michael Gomez for this.
Y'all ain't getting no bet picks off me for this one. It feels wrong picking Malkova, and it feels wrong picking Gomez. I don't want to put the doubt of Malkova in paper, but I also don't feel comfortable telling y'all to bet behind it, because y'all gonna be mad. Y'all gonna be madder than when he beat or when Andy Knight beat him. Y'all got me fucked up. I'm not doing that shit. Yeah.
Speaking of surprising losses, we could have one of those in our main event. For the first time in a long time, we don't have a title fight as the main event. It is the number 2 ranked Adrian Wilkins versus the number 3 ranked loudmouth Timothy Collins. And this fight, like I said, we could have a very surprising loss here, because if you follow Adrian Wilkins' career, he will always get to the top of the division, and then he'll just go on a massive losing streak and go right back to the bottom. So we could have a very shocking loss here. This could be the start of the cycle anew. But on the other side of the coin, he could also be the veteran that finally humbles, for lack of a better term, the very cocky, with reason, rookie Timothy Collins. Collins, as Morgan said, has been talking a lot. Wilkins is the more experienced one by a country mile. But they're both explosive. And what's going to be interesting here is it's a kickboxer versus a boxer. At least last I checked, that's what Collins is. But it's going to be very tough, because both men have been knocked out in the first round before, but both can also go. I don't think this is going past the first round, actually. I really don't. Hell, I'm going to call it right here, UCW. I don't think this is going past 3 minutes. I think we see a knockout victory within the first 3 minutes. And I'm going to go, I hate to say this, I really, really do, because I don't like the kid's cockiness, but I'm going to go with a knockout victory for Timothy Collins.
Join the dark side. Yes. Okay, let me spit. Can we get Timothy Collins like some aviators and maybe like a leopard print jacket for when he's fucking talking to us, because this man is the king right now. Okay? 100% on the train. I don't care. He's next up. Randy Orton came into WWE. What do you call himself? The Legend Killer? We got Randy Orton in SMFC, goddammit. This kid is good. I mean, the first time I saw him, I was like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Then he did it again, and I was like, okay, he's consistent. I'm rocking with it. And then he did it again. I'm 100% here. I love Adrian Wilkins. I need to preface that. I need to say that he's a very experienced fighter, and I need to say that I am very sad to see that Timothy Collins is going to be the one who starts the downfall of Adrian Wilkins once again.
Okay, so we're both going Timothy Collins on this one. Ugh, I feel dirty betting on Collins and betting against Wilkins, but Collins is just, like you said, he's kind of got that Randy Orton-esque vibe to him right now.
Morgan even said the winner of this fight will have a really strong case for Brooks or Zodiac.
Well, that's assuming Brooks goes for his rematch, because we haven't heard from him. Shockingly,
exactly.
We have not heard from him since that loss.
When the lights are brightest, we have seen Adrian Wilkins do what?
Fail.
When we have seen Timothy Collins against people who are much more experienced than him, that he has no reason to walk out with a victory, we have seen him do what?
Put them 6 feet under, and then brag about it.
The smart bet is Timothy Collins. That's all I'm saying. Put your money on him. If he loses, don't. We send that shit to the fan mail account. We don't check it.
Yeah, send that to the suggestion box, and then we just point to a trash can.
So now I know everybody expects this to be everybody's favorite segment, but no, we have a second favorite segment now. It's speculating on Morgan Hunter and the women's division. All right, it might be more important than Dustin Hunter. I don't know if I'd ever say that or not, but this shit's huge. All right, we don't know anything. First off, before anybody comes for us, we don't know shit. We are paid employees who don't know a damn thing about what goes on behind the scenes. However, what we do know are small little hints that were put out there. A couple of those hints are for the next segment that we all know and love. But for right now, we're talking about Morgan. We're talking about how she has said that if she ever had to get into the octagon, she is not scared to show that she knows how to defend herself and knows how to handle herself even. We're talking about it behind the scenes. Apparently, I didn't know that we were talking about that. Hydrate, do you know we had conversation? Did you miss that meeting?
No, I didn't get the memo.
Nobody told us. So I guess they are talking about behind the scenes at like dinner or whatever. But like, I mean, we don't know anything. But apparently it's happened. Apparently those conversations have started, and we all know in SMFC if a conversation's been had, it's usually gonna happen. Dustin's not really a guy who's gonna forget much as far as what he's talked about, what he wants to do with the company. And I mean, I'm honestly going as far to even say that maybe we get a Morgan Hunter as the face of that division. Just because, I mean, he's in there training with somebody.
Yeah, because he is most definitely training. He can deny it all he wants, but the suit shows all.
She said training. She said
Yeah,
training.
she said training. He can't deny it anymore. His wife admitted it.
She didn't say working out. She said training.
She admitted it. We can take the tinfoil hats off now because it's been confirmed.
We can take the tinfoil hats off and put on the I Love Dustin Hunter shirts, goddammit. He's coming back.
It's gonna happen. We don't know when, but it's gonna happen. Anyway.
Maybe at the same time as the women's division. Who knows?
Anyway, to go back to the women's division here for a second. This is something that the fans have clamored for, and because you weren't here for the start of this, but ever since the beginning, it was a quiet movement, much like WWE with the Women's Revolution. There was a small murmur at first, and it's just grown louder and louder over the years to the uproar that it is now of the women's division. And the fact that we're now getting confirmation that we're quite possibly going to get one, I think the fans are going to be really happy with this. I think we're going to see a lot of top names, maybe some names from other areas of sports, much like we got Adam Thomas from wrestling over into the UFC. I think we're going to get the same case with a bunch more people. I'm going to throw out some names here. We could possibly see some faces of Morgan's past, like Whitney Rivera from SMW. We could see her step into the octagon for all we know. This is we could guess all day on that one, but
UCW is known for signing former MMA talent. That could be a whole different thing. I mean, we have seen SMW coming back for one night against UCW. UCW could just be a grounds for talent to be in the eyes of Dustin Hunter as well. I mean, Dustin Hunter is there. That could be what he's been working out for, and we could just be wearing tinfoil hats, like you said.
Hell,
but I don't think that's what it is.
Oh, could you imagine?
He looks in fighting shape, not wrestling shape.
Could you imagine someone like Marie Kelly from over there steps into the octagon? My God.
If we got okay, so that would, correct me if I'm wrong, that would be one of the first people to come directly from a UCW, or from not a UCW establishment, but a UFC establishment through a middleman, correct?
That would be correct.
That opens a door for something completely different. That, I mean, we've got some heavy hitters in SMFC now. Once we start opening the door for UCW talent, other than Adam Thomas, once we start opening the door for people who have come to UCW from UFC, I mean, man, there's this one guy, there's one guy who showed up to UCW and showed out and took the world by storm. If we put him back in an octagon, I don't know what to expect.
Speaking of not knowing what to expect, and you were talking about Morgan Hunter, it's time to talk about the other Hunter, get our favorite segment going, where we talk about Dustin Hunter speculation on when he's returning to the octagon, because he is returning to the octagon. We will die on that hill, goddammit. I think the biggest telltale sign here was, one, Morgan's confirmation of him training. He can lie about it all he wants.
She said training, not working out. His wife would have said he goes to the gym to work out, not the gym to train.
Yeah, he can't deny it anymore. He can't play around with it anymore. He is training, and
also why he's so busy that he can't come to the press conference. It's like one of the main things he has that's on his job. Like, one of the main job duties that he has is that press conference. And you telling me he's doing something that's more important than that? He's getting ready.
I know, right? The biggest telltale sign here is he did not show up to do the pre-fight press conference.
The first time ever.
The first time ever. This was a religious thing for him. It was like people getting up at
67 brawls, by the way, not 66, sir. 67 brawls have happened.
This was a religious thing for him. Ever since he started it, it was like people going to church on Sundays. He always showed up. He always did the pre-fights. He always did the post-fights. And he was very excited about it. But now, all of a sudden, he doesn't show up. And he has his wife do it. And his wife says he's training. He is coming back.
As hell, by the way. That's foul. How you gonna put her unprepared ass up there on that podium? Y'all didn't run this back in the garage. Y'all didn't prep at all. You just went, hey, I need you to do this, and just sent her up there
with a small ass stack of notes, and just watch her sink or swim. Ugh. Boy, you gotta feel for Morgan.
It's a terrible place. All right, you can't just be throwing people in there like fresh meat. There's people like me and Hydrate in there.
Oh boy, yeah, poor Morgan. When you really gotta feel for her on that one. She doesn't have the experience with this side of the business, whereas Dustin Hunter does, and he threw her out there so he could go train for his inevitable return that is going to happen. And I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna call it right here, right now. He will return at Brawl 70. That's what I'm calling. When do you think he's coming back?
Dustin Hunter comes back at the Stand and Bang 4 tournament.
Ooh, that's a very good shout, because we haven't exactly talked about that tournament either, because no specific date's been announced, other than the fact that Dustin Hunter did announce.
We've got no dates and no fights, but we know it's happening.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I could see him returning there too.
Maybe that's the hesitance to release the fight card.
That's a good point. Maybe he's training for the Stand and Bang.
Oof. He's not ready to announce a date because he doesn't know if he's ready yet, which is kind of surprising because, I mean, he's yoked. All right, like, I mean, I know he runs the business, but maybe we need to get the drug department in there, and he might need to pee in a cup because boy's big. The going to the middleweight division thing, I mean, he might, but I think he's a heavyweight fighter now. Just to be honest.
Yeah, he's been putting on the pounds in a good way. He's been putting on the muscle. Eesh. Well, whatever happens, we know he's coming back. It's really just a matter of when and where.
Talk about it.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about it until we're both on our deathbeds. It's just a matter of when and where he comes back. It's not a matter of if anymore. Because his
And
wife
she even
fucking
said,
confirmed
he's
it.
fine. He's fine. He's just working hard. All right. Well, he's obviously not working hard on the press conference.
Yeah.
So what's he doing? Because you're here doing the press conference, doing a great job, by the way. Congratulations, Morgan. You did incredible. You did great. But he wasn't there. So he ain't working hard on that. Is it the women's division? Because I assume that you would kind of be in charge of the women's division. That might be me, but, you know, I kind of figured that's what you do. What's he doing?
Yeah. What are you doing that's so important that you shoved aside something you always did so you could go train? You know, what's so important about that? Huh? What you doing? You finally get ready to admit that you're
I just
returning?
enjoy working out. I'm a fighter. I'm always going to work out. Bullshit. Tell that to somebody who believes it.
I'm not even sure Dustin Hunter himself believes it. We smell what you're cooking, Dustin, and we smell bullshit. All right, everybody, that's gonna about wrap it up. Before we just repeat exactly what we said for the past 5 minutes about Dustin Hunter.
Shit about Dustin Hunter and don't get paid this week.
Yeah, we gotta stop ourselves at a certain point before he cuts our paychecks in half. That's been Mike Warriors, a very long episode, if I might point that out there for a second. I've been Hydrate. That's been UCW. That was Brawl 67's predictions. Come back next week for the results and us talking about it and talking about Dustin Hunter for another 5 to 10 minutes. We'll see you there. We'll enjoy the fights with you. Again, I've been Hydrate. That's been UCW. Take care, everybody.
Y'all stay good.